We're glad to have you back. Now, there were indications that crude oil prices would rise to more than $90 per barrel from over $70 per barrel this weekend, following the United States attack on Iranian facilities. Now, the United States launched targeted strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear facilities, a move President Trump hailed as a spectacular military success, which has significantly escalated Middle East tensions. Iran is a major oil-producing and exporting nations and a founding member of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC. Already, the Israel-Iran conflict has pushed crude prices to $79 per barrel from over $68 per barrel in the past few weeks. As tensions escalate in the Middle East, experts say 2 things could happen. With Iran, oil production disruption or the blocking of Strait of Hormuz, a critical shipping waterway for oil vessels movement to Western consuming countries. Unless the crisis is contained very soon, an increase in crude oil prices is almost a certainty. Another professor says, of petroleum economics says, the United States strike on Iranian facilities might inject a short-term geopolitical risk premium into global oil prices. However, unless there is a tangible disruption to physical supply, particularly through the Strait of Hormuz, sustained price escalation remains uncertain. Well, Mr. Gbolan Olojede is a finance analyst. He's my guest for this conversation. Mr. Olojede, good afternoon, and thank you so much for making it a date with us on Business Nigeria this afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Nice to be on the program.
Yes, I think I should allow you first to give me an overview of what you make of this crisis as it escalates. For me, the negative impact is something that we should worry about. But tell me first how it comes to you and what you're learning.
It's not exactly a shock because this problem has been there for a while. So it was only waiting for a time such as this to happen. But at the same time, the effect is horrible, especially for that axis. So that axis had already been suffering from the Israel-Gaza war for a bit. And then you now have an Iran part to further complicate matters. Where that becomes even more problematic is that Iran is also a major producer of oil. Yeah. So whatever could affect a country like Iran might also take a pinch on global oil supply. Because I learned that even before the American bombardment of the nuclear centers, some of the targets that the Israelis have already hit included oil facilities. So whatever is going to cut, and you see, the other threat is still there from the U.S. when the U.S. said, look, you had better not think of retaliating anything, against the U.S. because if you try it, what is coming will make what has happened in the past to be like a child's play. So what that could mean, we don't know, but it smells as if it could extend to even oil installations. So that is why this is becoming very tricky. And of course, you mentioned the Strait of Hormuz, which if Iran should shut that down, that is a place where like 20% of the oil vessels, pass through. So when you shut down as much as 20%, the consequences will be huge on the global oil prices, and the global energy challenge might just escalate by virtue of that.
If that happens, before we even get into what it means for Nigeria, I'm also seeing that even the global world, I'm talking about the more developed world like the Americans, they might face a new shock of inflation if all of this happens. How does that also come to you?
Of course, because if international price of oil should go up, then America will also pay higher for energy. That is the reality. So there are still gas-fired power plants all over the place. People have to consume PMS for their vehicles. So definitely the cost of energy, even in America, will go up. Meanwhile, don't forget that part of why inflation, appeared to have moderated a bit in America was that the energy prices moderated. So if that energy price should go up, it would definitely affect inflation as it were in America. How that will present Trump vis-a-vis the outlook that people had about Trump, that, inflation will come down, groceries will become cheaper, nobody knows how that will play out. If what we're saying should continue, I don't see how it will be able to achieve that. I don't see how. Inflation will tick up in the US as well.
Now, back home, back here, we're already seeing that impact on the price of PMS at the stations. I must say that, because as of today, in some cases, it's about 925 naira and 915 naira, 920 naira. If the price of crude, for example, gets to above $100 that's per barrel, let's now look at our budget, which was predicated on $75. Would that be a blessing in disguise?
It's a blessing and a curse in a way. Blessing because government revenue will go up. Now, one of the scares we have expressed in the current year was the fact that our budget was at $75. Oil was selling at much lower, maybe even much, maybe like $60 at some point. Now we are around our budget price, so that is good. If it goes further up, it means we're talking of making much more money from that. Now, that has a very positive implication for government revenue, and it has a very strong positive implication for stability of the naira. So the earnings from crude oil remains a major stabilizer for our foreign exchange because it represents a chunk of the supply of foreign exchange for Nigeria. So that is a very strong positive side for us as a country. It will further fuel increased production by our people. You see, as oil becomes more profitable, rigs that have been shut down before because they were not profitable might start to come into action. So it also has the potential to help us improve the volume of production of oil in Nigeria. The flip side, however, is that as prices go up, so will the price of the refined product also go up. Crude is the largest cost component of the refined PMS and all the other components that come from refined crude oil. So when the price of that component goes up, the price of the refined product automatically goes up as well. So that's why it's a balancing act. The people will have to pay more for fuel. Energy costs will go up. But government revenue will go up. Stability of the naira will be more strengthened. We can even drive further production of oil as more rigs will go into production.
So it's a mixed bag. If we are to look at it, it is indeed a mixed bag. Now let's look at the health of the entire global economy and implications of this on all demands across the board. In my research, I see that this will just be another round of economic pain if we are to look at it that way.
Definitely anything that will impact global energy costs negatively will impact everybody at the end of the day. So if you look at a country like, say, China is a huge producer of oil as well, but it still buys a lot of oil outside of what it produces. So you can imagine a situation in which oil that China has to buy, the price has gone up. It means that it will affect the cost profile of producers in China. So for us as people who are import dependent, and we go to all this country and import stuff to our own country, we will also be buying some of the inflation that might have been triggered by virtue of the increased energy cost in those countries. Some of those inflation will come to our country as well. So eventually, it's not a win-win for everybody. Everybody will take a bite from that problem if it continues as it were.
Mr. Lode, let's take a commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. All right, glad to have you back. I've been speaking to Mr. Gbola Olojede, looking at the impact of Israel-Iran's this back and forth, the war and all. What does it mean, this attack even by the United States in recent times? What does it mean for our country? And that's where we are now. Mr. Olojede, now looking forward or moving ahead, what do you think? Are there any quick solutions to this crisis, looking at what might happen if this continues this way? Because many are looking at the negative aspect of this is what we should start to look at the moment.
Unfortunately, it is not within our control as a people. So we just watch that space and adjust accordingly. For now, for me, while the price is up, let's make money. We cannot pray that the price will remain as it is because of the circumstances that has led to the problem. So somehow we should also look forward to a resolution of the problem. But while the problem persists, let us make it count for us. Now, the eventual resolution will be something that is even probably bigger than the individual actors. So I don't think Israel itself can swing this. I don't think Iran can swing it. Neither can US all by itself. So these are the kind of problem that will require the intervention of the international community, the West, as well as the other bloc, the Orient, the Chinas, the Russia of this world, everybody coming together, intervening in this matter and being able to put it to rest as soon as possible. We hope also that they can resolve, as a matter of urgency, the issue of whether the Strait of Hormuz is going to be closed or not, because that is a major disaster. So hopefully they will prioritize that and first of all resolve that, and then it can come back to all the other issues and resolve it one after the other. That way, we will be able to moderate the impact of this. If that Hormuz thing is closed, oil might hit $100 as it were, cutting off 20% of the global logistics from that place is going to be a disaster.
Real disaster. $100, I'm sure we'll pay more than 1,000 naira for PMS down here in Nigeria. Even stock markets are in red at the moment. I must tell you, they're basically in red today. All the markets you see, are they feeling that hit negatively? I don't understand why they are staying in red. And what sort of conversation, what do you think will be running through the minds of OPEC and other OPEC members to considering this crisis?
Okay, markets do not like uncertainties. And part of what we have discussed right now is that nobody knows exactly how some of these things will pan out. So that is a heavy cloud of uncertainty hanging there. That is the normal reaction of the market. So as things begin to take shape and form, the market will also react accordingly to say, okay, look, I'm beginning to understand what is going on right now. Apart from the market situation right now, we now have to also talk about how all the players across the globe, how it might impact them. Yes, as energy cost goes up, it will impact, bring inflationary pressure, and that will affect literally every part of the world, as it were. So the inflation that we have said has started to calm down. We have seen the the world central banks, begin to cut
rates,
or at least keep rates, we might have a situation in which those rate cuts might have to be frozen for a bit until things stabilize.
And when that happens, we know obviously borrowing will be a bit on the high side. Mr. Gbolan Olojede, always interesting having these conversations with you. I must thank you so much, finance expert. Do have a great and profitable week.
And you too. Thanks for having me.